All right, let's talk about something that is surprisingly common, but we almost never talk about it. That quiet feeling of dread when your own birthday is coming up. You know, if you've ever just wished you could hit the fast forward button and skip the whole day, trust me, you are not alone. And we're about to get into the fascinating psychology behind why that is.
So let me just ask you straight up. Does your birthday feel less like a day of celebration and more like, well, just another Tuesday? For a whole lot of people, the answer is a big yes. And look, this isn't about being ungrateful or being a party pooper. It's a real, genuine feeling of resistance to all the expected fuss.
And this really gets to the heart of the conflict, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the public expectation. You know, the balloons, the cake, the flood of social media posts, this big, happy performance where you are the star of the show. But on the other side, there's the private reality for so many, which is just this feeling of being totally overwhelmed, stressed out, or honestly just uncomfortable with all that attention.
So why does this disconnect even happen? Well, to really get it, we've got to move past all the common and, frankly, pretty unhelpful labels to get thrown around. So let's just debunk some of those myths right now.
You know, it's so easy to just write someone off. Oh, they're just being antisocial. Or, wow, they're so ungrateful for all the good wishes. Maybe they're just depressed. Some people might even think it's some kind of weird, backwards way of trying to get more attention. But all of these labels, they completely miss the point.
And here's the crucial takeaway. This is not a character flaw. Feeling reluctant to celebrate your birthday in the normal way has nothing to do with who you are as a person. Nope. The real reasons are actually deeply rooted in our own individual psychology.
So, what's the actual science here? What's going on in our heads? Well, a lot of that discomfort, it really boils down to a specific kind of pressure, the pressure to perform, to play a role on a specific day. Let's break that down a little.
Psychologists have actually been able to point to two key pressures that create this whole birthday dread phenomenon. Let's take a look at the first one.
First, we've got what's called social obligation. This is that super powerful, unspoken rule in our society that says you have to celebrate, you should be happy, and you absolutely need to do it in a way that other people can see. Now, for anyone who really values their own autonomy, being forced to follow a script like that, it can trigger this immediate, almost instinctual resistance. And the second big pressure is something called sudden emotional intensity. I mean, think about it. For 24 hours, you suddenly become the focal point for everyone's attention, their positive emotions, their expectations. For some people, that's not comforting at all. It's completely overwhelming. That demand to perform happiness, to smile on cue, to look grateful at the right moments, it can feel so inauthentic and, frankly, just emotionally exhausting.
So, okay, if it's not about hating parties or being ungrateful, what is it really about? Well, the real answer gets right to the core of how different people find value and their sense of self-worth, and it all comes down to one word: validation. And this quote just nails it perfectly. For people who shy away from the birthday spotlight, it isn't about rejecting other people. It's about choosing a different way to mark the day. It's about valuing that quiet, private reflection way more than all the loud public noise. You can really think of validation in two different buckets. In one bucket, you've got external validation. That's all the stuff that comes from the outside world. Praise, gifts, parties, public shout-outs. But in the other bucket, you have internal validation. This comes from within. It's about your own sense of self-worth, taking time for quiet reflection, finding personal meaning, and feeling in control of your own emotional state. Birthday resistance? It's often just a very strong preference for that second bucket. And when you look at it that way, it totally reframes the whole issue, doesn't it? It's not a rejection of happiness or well wishes at all. It's simply a preference for finding meaning in a way that feels authentic and personal to you, instead of having to perform it for an audience. And once you understand that, it allows us to completely redefine what a birthday can even be. It doesn't have to be about following a social script. It's about creating a day that genuinely feels good to you.
So here's a really powerful, really positive way to reframe it. Instead of thinking of this feeling as antisocial, try thinking of it as being pro-autonomy. It's about taking ownership of your own time and your own emotional energy. And honestly, that's actually a sign of really strong self-awareness. So, the bottom line is this. If you would rather have a quiet day of self-reflection or go for a hike, or just treat your birthday like any other Tuesday, that is a perfectly valid psychological preference. It's not a bug that needs to be fixed, it's a feature. It's just part of who you are.
And that kind of leaves us all with a bigger question to chew on. Knowing that we all find meaning in different ways, how can we all, as friends, as family, make more space for authentic celebration? How do we honor the people in our lives in ways that feel good to them, instead of just relying on the same old one-size-fits-all social script? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.